I can't see a future yet where we can, as conservatives or libertarians, be able to say to people, look, you think you're getting ahead. You think you're getting something by voting for that guy or maintaining that program because the marketplace is scary. Libertarianism is scary. We've had so many of these things in place for so long, very few people remember life without them. It seems like that the big quest now for the Grover Norquists of the world, and quite frankly the Andrew Wilkows of the world, is to create messaging that the person who is maybe starting to doubt starts to say, this isn't working. Maybe these crazy pledge guys aren't so bad after all.
Yeah. I think the first way to do that, as long as Obama's in the White House and the Democrats run the Senate, you can't do much to reform Washington. But there are 50 states, and 25 of them have a Republican governor and a Republican House and a Republican Senate. A subset of those 25 are run by reformers who are cutting taxes and having less in the way of regulations and giving parents control over their kids' education. And those states are doing better than California and Illinois and Maryland, which are going in the opposite direction. So if we want to explain to people what works and what doesn't, it helps to have Indiana next to Illinois moving in policies different directions. Let's watch to see whether anybody builds a factory on the Illinois side of that border in the next 10 years. My guess is no.
It seems that we have to turn back the tide of radical egalitarianism, that when you look at the misery in Detroit, the misery of Camden, New Jersey, the misery in some of these progressive states and cities, they're not looking to fix themselves and become more like Texas or more like Indiana. They're trying to figure out, if they can't bring themselves up, they want to bring everybody down. When you look at the idea of smashing a population down, you at least make it fair. Everybody's equally sick, everybody's equally poor, everyone's equally dependent, but it's equal, and that's the most important thing. And it almost seems like by the time you get to that moment where everybody understands their misery, it's too late.
And now you see people in one state, failed states, trying to tax people in other states. The idea of taxing internet
without representation.
Yes, that's the good part. They can't vote against you. They live somewhere else. And they fear people leaving their state, so they want to tax economic activity in other states, taxing internet sales, taxing people who leave a state. Watch for that, because the loser states, the failed states, the states that have bad, expensive government, are going to try and figure out how can Detroit continue to tax all of Michigan and all of the national government while people are leaving.
Still, I don't know why you're the boogeyman here in Washington, D.C.
I'm a sweetheart.
I don't know why this is the man that, it's funny that when you get hung out as the bad guy over the pledge, they'll say, who's this Grover Norquist? What's with this pledge? Why does he have so much control over Washington? As if there aren't feminist groups that don't have their own pledges, or anti-gun groups that don't have their own pledges, or environmentalist groups that get upset if you don't vote exactly the way they want you to vote to save the Delta smelt or something. But yet, every year, right about this time, right about the time we're going to start mailing in our taxes, you become the bad guy, and for the life of me, I don't understand it.
Well, if you're a politician of the left, you don't want to say, I hate the American people, because they don't want their taxes increased. They don't want to say, I have a disagreement with congressmen and senators who were elected promising their voters never to raise taxes. It's easier to say they have an argument with me. It's silly. They don't have an argument with me. They have an argument with the American
target,
people.
Freeze it, polarize it.
Yeah, somebody wrote that.
You're being portrayed straight out of the Alinsky playbook. He's the bad man. We have to make people hate Grover Norquist, even though nothing you've said in this forum, and nothing you say in your media appearances, and nothing you say in your books or your speeches would in any way, if anybody was listening to you and not those trying to polarize you, would see you as the boogeyman.
Their objection is to the Constitution, to the values of the American people and their futures. They're unlikely to explain that on national TV. So they want to pick a fight with me. They can pretend they're arguing with me. They're really arguing with the American people and their elected representatives who want to limit government to expand liberty. That's not where they want to go, but they don't want to articulate that.